Welcome to episode number 1 of 3 Questions with Steve. 3 Questions with Steve is a weekly series where we chat with people in the community about their experiences with pandemic living. I chose our first guest on purpose because last year, Patricia DeSaw and I collaborated on a project that took place on March 16th, 2020. The night before the stay-at-home orders went into effect in California, and everything changed. I thought that now we're seeing light at the end of the tunnel would be a perfect time to give Patricia a call. So Patricia, how are you doing?
I am doing well overall. I remember, Steve, that fateful day back in March of last year that you just referenced. And I remember all of us being kind of catatonic about what was happening, almost like we were watching a meteor that was about to hit, but we didn't know what the full impact was going to be like. And then over the course of the next year, as everything unfolded, we got a real big sense of what it was going to be like, and we lived it and breathed it every day. I think it's pretty evident a year later that with the pandemic and how many lives were upended and to what extent that everybody was adversely affected in some way. And I was certainly no exception to that. However, I do feel very, very fortunate that I am healthy, my family is healthy. That's not to say that we haven't had a share of challenges dealing with stressors and anxiety and barriers and a number of other things. But overall, a year later, doing okay, feeling grateful for a lot of things, and trying to really focus in on those silver linings and how my life in some ways improved.
Excellent. Now, what did you learn over the course of the last year?
Probably the biggest thing that I learned, and there were many learnings, was that simplicity is absolutely beautiful. And it's something that I probably took for granted before and didn't recognize before because it was so shrouded in complexity. I never realized how complex my life was until the pandemic hit. I have a couple of examples, just everyday kind of examples. My closet is one example. I look at my closet and it's full of clothes that I wore regularly to so many different types of occasions, a lot of them to work. And now I'm working from home and I wear about 5 things over and over again. I've got 2 of them on right now. The other 3 are in the closet. Well, I'm wearing pants too. 3. I've got 3 on right now. The other 2 are in the closet. But yeah, my wardrobe has been whittled down to just a few essential things. And there's a beauty in that simplicity of not really needing that much. I haven't really bought additional clothes in the last year. And I like that. I like that simplicity and that basicness of my wardrobe. The other example is travel. I sort of still am, a big traveler. Love traveling to exotic places, going to other countries, experiencing other cultures. And I still very much revere that. But what happened in the last year? I had so many travel plans that, as many people experienced, came to a grinding halt. I had a trip to the Florida Keys planned for spring break, canceled. I had a trip to Europe, 4 different countries in Europe over the summer, canceled. Never imagined that those kinds of trips would be canceled. And thought, okay, well, I need to adjust. And as the summer came on, some things were opening. And so I still did want to travel. And so my family and I did a couple of trips to Northern California locales. We're very lucky to live here. People travel all over to come to Northern California. I realized, wow, I should take advantage of this. So we went to places that were effectively in our backyard and really enjoyed them. We didn't have to go very far. We didn't have to get on a plane. These were road trips, and some involved camping. We also, aside from the vacations in these nearby Northern California locales, on a regular basis, my kids and I would visit the East Bay parks, which are absolutely stunning and beautiful and accessible and have lots of outdoor activities to do in terms of hiking and other things, which are completely safe for the pandemic, and places that we either didn't visit or didn't visit as often. All things just so nearby. And once again, that simplicity of the proximity and not having travel or adventure to be so complex to really enjoy it. So that's one thing that I learned, and those are two different examples. And then the third example is that what matters most, and this is another thing that's has a lot of simplicity to it, is relationships. I have come to really, really appreciate even more the relationships in my life. I've learned in the last year that you can connect, really connect in so many different ways with people, even when you can't be with them in person, even in this virtual way, even on the telephone, even with text exchanges. You can have really deep and meaningful connections. One of the things that I have said often in my life before the pandemic is that when people become vulnerable and let their guard down and become really real, those are some of the best moments in life to me. And when I think about this last year, pretty much everyone I know has done that. This has been really hard. This has been really challenging. And people have been more uninhibited about letting their guard down and exposing themselves and sharing their true selves, which has offered so much in terms of connection, which I've really appreciated. And I feel like that's where the relationships become the most meaningful. So I've realized that the excitement of life, I've realized more than before, that the excitement of life comes from not so much the adventures that we seek or the milestones that we reach, but really in those connections that we make. Those are, to me, the best part of life. And I've experienced that so much in the last year.
All right. Well, what action steps are you taking as we move forward?
Building off of this idea of connections, I think about so much happened in the last year, because when you think about it, it really wasn't just the pandemic. There were layers on top of that. There was the layer of racial injustice. There was the layer of gun violence, which we're still and have for a long time been witnessing and dealing with. There's the layer of the political division. And when I think about all of those together, I really feel like one thing that can effect a lot of change to improve all of those things is those human connections. To the extent that we can get to know each other better is going to improve the state of the world in many ways. So what I'm going to take forward is make an even bigger effort to connect with other people, particularly people who are unlike me, who are very different, who might look different, who might come from a different background, who might have a different belief system or have a different perspective on the world. I want to understand. I want to make those connections and reach out even more beyond my circle to get to know people. And my wish is that other people do this as well. something that I shared on social media very recently, and I think you might have seen it, is this quote that I heard, and I don't remember where I heard it, but now I can't unhear it, which is, don't let your opinion be louder than someone else's lived experience. And I think that's a really great approach to take to understand other people and seek out and maintain those connections, to turn the volume down on our own opinions and turn the volume up on what other people have to say and have to share about their own experiences. There are two ways that I am currently doing this. One is personally and one is professionally. And I'll give you these examples. So the first way is, there's a gentleman who lives down the block from me who I've been not only talking to more, but I'm making plans to, we're planning to go for a long walk. He's very different. He comes from a whole different background. He is a 73-year-old African-American man who was born and raised in Louisiana. Completely different from me, who I am, where my upbringing was in India and then in the Bay Area for the rest of my childhood. And in the times that I've talked to him, yeah, he has a totally different belief system and way of looking at the world. And in one or more of those moments, I remember to turn my volume down. Yes, there's something very different coming at me, coming to me. Let me explore it. I'm very curious about how he thinks. It's very different from how I think, but I want to know more about that. And it's been a pleasure to do that, and I want to keep doing that. And then the other example, professionally, I had the opportunity recently, I started a project at work, and I had to recruit people, and I looked for candidates. I had lots of applicants. And I know that generally we tend to have what's called a similarity bias, where we seek out people who are like us, especially in work environments. We tend to seek out people who are like us, who might have the similar kind of background, education experience, maybe even cultural background. But I intentionally went for people who were completely different, who I had really nothing in common with. And I did recruit 2 people from this project who are completely different. And it's been just so wonderful getting to know them. And they bring up things and perspectives that I never would have thought of. They have a way of thinking that's completely different from my own. So once again, it's that seeking to understand people who are different and really getting excited about that and thinking about the possibilities that that brings up for my own immediate life, and then potentially to spread that to do more good in the world. So that's what I'm going to take forward.
Well, excellent. That was wonderful. So there you have it. Patricia told us how she's feeling, what she learned, and what she's taking with her as we move forward. How are you feeling? What have you learned? What are you taking with you as we move forward? Please tell us in the comment section. And while you're at it, please like, share, and subscribe so this message can go far and wide, and we'll find that shining needle of common ground.